episode of the Future Copy Broadcast. My name is Will, and I am the founder and head writer over at futurecopywriting.com. Today, we're delving into a fascinating yet contentious topic that has been making waves across not just copywriting, but so many other industries. You can probably guess what it is: AI. But first, a quick story that inspired this idea. You see, nearly 2 years ago, I quit my cushy corporate job to pursue my copywriting business full time. And recently, I was hanging out with some old coworkers, including my old VP, which is funny. I had never met him in person while I was working at the corporation. And now that I'm not working there, this is the first time that we actually met in person. Anyway, that's besides the point. My old VP asked me if I was afraid of AI or if it was affecting my job at all, taking clients from me, or if clients were paying me less because of AI. To be honest, at the time, I didn't really have the best answer because I was so bogged down with work that I couldn't really stop and think about anything other than the copy that was right in front of me. But I'm so glad that he asked that question because it really got me thinking. And then once I started thinking, I started researching, and then I started testing, and I really dug into it. And the conclusion that I came to might shock you. You see, before all of this, I didn't really do much with AI. It was a thing that was there and I knew about it, but I didn't really think too much about it. I was too busy learning the tricks of the trade. But more and more, I started hearing the concerns of other copywriters, and not just copywriters, but people in other industries as well, that they were afraid of AI. They were afraid that it was going to take their jobs. If you study history at all, I mean, this is a trope that comes up a lot. Some new force sweeping in and taking jobs and changing the course of history forever. Needless to say, many copywriters are voicing their concerns about AI. And for good reason. AI writing models like ChatGPT-4 are making impressive strides in generating compelling and natural selling content in the blink of an eye. And what's more, they're free. Well, ChatGPT-4 isn't quite free yet, but even ChatGPT-3 does a really great job at writing content. Surely this is a recipe for disaster, right? The answer is yes if you're a certain type of copywriter. And the answer is a resounding no if you're another type of copywriter. So let's just dive into it and let's see where we can find that distinction. There is no question about it. The rise of AI poses a very real and very near threat to content copywriting. Real quick, so that we're on the same page here, I want to define content copywriting. Content copywriting is based solely around building relationships with customers. That's it. Think blog posts, social media posts, even videos like this. That's all content. And content doesn't sell. Content educates. Content entertains. Content provides a bridge between the creator and the customer. But at the end of the day, content is not what sells. Sales pages sell, order forms sell, only sales copy sells. So I really want to make that distinction here. Content exists to build a positive relationship with the customer or with the audience. So when it comes to AI, tools like ChatGPT-4 can create content quickly, efficiently, and often to a very high standard of quality, honestly replacing a content copywriter. In fact, let's run a quick test so you can see what I'm talking about in real time. In a second here, I'll bring up my screen. I'm gonna have ChatGPT write a 500-word blog post that I will put on futurecopywriting.com with either no or minimal editing. We're gonna see what it does first. Plus, you're gonna get a couple tricks of how I use GPT. Okay, so I already wrote the prompt. I'm just gonna copy and paste it into ChatGPT-4. The prompt that I have here, I want to write a 500-word blog post explaining different types of copywriting, especially sales copywriting, content copywriting, and SEO copywriting. Please create an outline that includes an introduction, the 3 types I mentioned, plus 2 more types of copywriting, and I'm going to say conclusion instead of the outro. So real quick before I hit enter, the reason that I'm asking GPT to write an outline first is because I have found through trial and error that if I do an outline first, GPT writes better content. If I just ask GPT to write, hey, something on these things, it will give me something, and it'll give me something that's legible, or rather readable. legible, readable. That's not quite it. But anyway, it'll give me something that's decent, but it's typically not to my liking. So if I start with the outline, it helps me outline it. And then once I approve it, it'll write it. So let's see what it can do here. Okay, so I'm just going to roll with this. I like the way that this looks. That took literally about 15 to 20 seconds, if that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask ChatGPT to write the article. It's already primed with how it should write this article. I'm also going to give it a couple parameters, like I don't want to use very academic sounding language. I want it to be accessible and friendly. So let's try that. Please write the blog post for me. Be sure to avoid using highly academic language or overly complex sentences. Oh my God, I had to sneeze. Wow. Make the tone friendly, authoritative, and accessible to be easily read and understood. All right, let's see. I'm not really a fan of the title. So that's something, right? This is where you would have a content copywriter do something. Haha, not all copywriting is created equal. I use that line all the time. Oh, ChatGPT. So it seems already that the sections are pretty short. And so what I would do in this case is ask it to expand on each one. I don't really know if I should be getting into that in this video because it's not quite on. Screw it, we'll do it, whatever. If you don't care to see how I use ChatGPT in this way, just skip forward to, whatever. There will be little markers on the video. GPT kept with my parameters of not using highly complex language. The sentences look fairly simple, and it's still engaging to read, but I do want it to expand on each section. So I'll just ask it to do that. Rewrite that, keeping with the same outline and parameters, but also add in job prospects and typical pay ranges for each, and also add in how people typically get into those fields. All right, let's see. It's still keeping it. GPT, you're kind of jacking up my content here. Okay, so in this case, what I would typically do, I have had, trust me, I've had ChatGPT write really great stuff that needed very little editing. In this case, what I would do is copy both, paste it into a Word document, and combine them and build it out from there. So that's a little bit more writing. And that actually gets into a point that I'm going to make a little bit later in this video. Okay, let's go ahead and stop sharing and we'll get back to it. Hey, real quick, we're going to get right back to the video. But if you have learned even just one thing, or if you've even just enjoyed one aspect of this video, hit that like button and let me know. It tells the algorithm that what I'm doing is valuable and worth it and that it is helpful. That helps me out and it helps you out. So go ahead and do that. And while you're at it, might as well hit subscribe and might as well hit that bell so that you always know when a new Future Copy Broadcast episode has been released. All right, back to it. So as you can see, it's very easy to develop content with something like ChatGPT. Of course, in that specific example we just gave, I'm going to need to do a little bit more editing. I was hoping that it would do what it's done for me in the past, which is just give me a great piece of content right off the bat. So it can still be hit or miss in that sense, which also makes sense as to why content copywriters aren't just losing their jobs left and right yet. Despite that, it's obvious that for companies looking to scale their content production while minimizing costs, AI is an increasingly attractive option for them to turn to. Plus, the best in the world is literally free. Now, do business owners have all the time in the world to prompt ChatGPT to write their content for them? Absolutely not. And that's actually where content copywriters are going to continue to be useful. If you're a content copywriter, businesses will still hire you to produce the content, knowing full well that you're using ChatGPT. I mean, they might even give you access to ChatGPT or Copy AI or any of the other number of AI tools for copywriting. But where you were once paid $250 for a piece of content, a blog post, now you're going to be paid $25 because they know it's really just an editing job. That means you'll have to produce 10 pieces just to make up for the price of what you used to charge for one. But what if you could make $2,500 on a single piece that ChatGPT couldn't write for you? Well, that's totally possible because there's a key area where AI falls completely short of the mark, and that's sales copy. For as good as AI has gotten over the years, especially recently, it still lacks a fundamental trait natural to all humans, well, most humans, and that's the ability to comprehend, understand, and empathize with human emotions. You see, the way large language models like ChatGPT work, they're really just pattern predictors. These language models are fed immense amounts of text data. The underlying AI program essentially analyzes that data to look for patterns in the text. And then within those patterns, it's able to predict how certain words can be put together. In that sense, these language models, they don't actually understand the text. They're just really good at recognizing the patterns within text. As such, how could one understand something as complex and non-text based as human emotion? Yet humans have a very distinct ability to be able to resonate with emotion. It's actually in that word right there, resonate with emotion. This is something that a large language model is absolutely just incapable of doing at the current moment. So when it comes to sales is all based on emotion. This is not something that's generally well known because in our consumer culture, we buy without really thinking too much. I mean, that's the hard truth. What's happening if we slow down the process is that we see something, a product, that gives us an emotional response. And that emotional response drives us to purchase the product. So a good sales copywriter is predicting and leveraging those emotions. As a result, AI falls completely flat when it comes to writing high converting sales copy. I think at this point in the video, I've been speaking from a point of assumption. An assumption that you understand that sales copy is more valuable than content copy. So let's explore that a little bit because that assumption actually is true. Sales copy is more valuable than content. And this is actually where things get really interesting. You see, sales copywriting pays the best among all forms of copywriting, whether that's content, SEO, technical, etc. So already the market tells us that sales copy is more valuable than other forms of copywriting. But why is that? Don't worry, I'll give you a second to guess. And you're right. It's because sales copy is directly tied to revenue generation. So let's break that down just a little bit. Revenue is the lifeblood of a business. In fact, you do not have a business if you are not making revenue. What you have is an idea. You take that idea and you sell it, and then you have a business, right? So if revenue is the lifeblood of a business, and a business is not a business without revenue, then anything that generates revenue will be highly, highly valuable to that business, so long as it is run well, because we see businesses that aren't run well that maybe they don't understand that concept. Now, when it comes to content is not revenue generating. Yes, you can make sales. In fact, you can make the argument that your content leads to sales. And in a way, it is true because you need content to build a relationship with people before they trust enough to buy. However, it is not content that triggers the buy, because what happens is someone's on a blog post, and maybe the blog post has an affiliate link or a link to some sort of product. They click off to that. Sure, the content was compelling enough to get them to click on that. That's a type of conversion, but wherever they go next, that is the sales page, and that will make or break the purchase 99.9% of the time. So how do we see this actually play out in practice? Well, when things start to get slim, as we might be seeing here in the near future, with all the talk of recession and blah, 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 content writers are among the first to go. It happened to me. I used to be a content writer. I used to write content for some psychedelic blog, right? Wrote things, got paid pretty well, like $250 a piece. Wasn't very hard work. Boom, let me go as soon as revenue started dropping for the company, because I wasn't doing anything to bring in new sales. I wasn't doing anything to increase current sales. I just wasn't making money for them. I was a drain on their revenue. I was a drain on their money and a drain on their resources. So when things get slim, content writers, out of all the copywriters, are going to be the first to go. Sales copywriters will be the last to go, because a sales copywriter can say, look, that thing that I wrote made you $10,000 last month, and I'm going to write another one for a different product, and that'll make you at least $10,000 or more. There's no getting around that. I, as a sales copywriter, make you money. And if you did not have me, good luck developing the expertise very quickly in yourself to write your own sales copy that's going to convert as high as my copy does. That's why businesses are willing to pay a premium for the skill of sales copywriting. So if you're a content writer worried about AI, good, you should be. That means you're actually thinking about it. Unlike me, who literally was surprised to get asked the question. Whatever. Anyway, it is time to start shifting your focus to sales copy, to make yourself recession proof and to make yourself highly valuable to any business that wants to make sales. So if you've honed your skills in content copywriting, making the transition to sales copy is actually not that difficult at all, because you've already got the foundation of creative writing down. To be a good content writer, you have to be a good writer. You have to be a creative writer. And that is seriously more than half the battle when it comes to sales copy. Coming up with creative stories, words, and new ways of saying something is intense work if you're not already accustomed to tapping into that part of your brain. So all you need to do now is focus on learning the psychological frameworks that actually trigger sales. The cool thing about that is, for the most part, it's step by step. Of course, it takes logical thinking, it takes predictive planning, but really you have set frameworks that actually work no matter what. So some of these skills include things like rapid relationship building, or negotiation techniques like mirroring and framing, and other tactics like leveraging the innumerable shortcuts that our brains take every single day to make decisions. Once you learn how to use these skills to tap into the reader's emotions, you'll be well on your way to becoming a high converting sales copywriter. Okay, so now this is probably the biggest thing that I have learned so far in my journey as an independent sales copywriter. AI is a tool, not a replacement. This is such a powerful perspective to hold. Everyone else worries about AI, worries how it's going to take their job. If you flip your perspective, you start seeing AI as a tool. How can you leverage it? How can you use AI to make your job easier, better, and faster? Then you, with that perspective, are ahead of the curve and you're ahead of the crowd. So while AI might not be able to generate super high converting, compelling sales copy, it's still an excellent tool for ideating. It's like the perfect companion or the perfect partner to your awesomeness. For example, I use ChatGPT every single day in my professional copywriting business. I use it every day in my personal life as well. I use it every day in my creative pursuits. It helps me write music. It helps me organize my thoughts. It helped me write a personal letter. Now, of course, I have my own reservations about this. I don't want to outsource everything to where I'm not working out my creative brain, but it can be used to enhance your creative skills that you already have. And in fact, if used properly, it can be used to work it out so that you actually get more creative, so that you get better at writing, so that you become more skilled than your competition. In that sense, I use AI as a tool to bounce ideas off of, help come up with new creative ways of thinking about a problem, help profile avatars, help analyze data, and to help automate some of the more tedious tasks of the day. AI is a super powerful tool. It's not your competitor. It is here to help you, not replace you. Oh, and always be nice to your AI friend. When Skynet finally takes over, you want to be the person that was like, yo, we were cool when it was the other way around. And, maybe it'll take that to heart. So while AI is making strides in content generation, you need to be making strides in your skill set. AI's inability to understand and empathize with human emotions is the gap that you can very easily fill. And if you can write excellent sales copy, which you can, then you, my friend, are worth a premium. That's all for today's episode. check out the ChatGPT blog post. It's up on futurecopywriting.com. See if it was worth it and if I can get away with using it for future blog posts. In the meantime, we'll see you in the next one.